If that was your first context of like the world, you would have a pretty skewed idea of how people behave.
I'm loving the show. I love your character. What sets the tourist apart from anything that you've done before?
Kind of everything, almost. It's like, because it's such a mashup of so many different worlds and genres and tones, and you know, I've jumped into comedy a little bit in the last couple of years, but never mixed it with quite intense drama. And that was what I thought was so sort of fascinating about these scripts, that it was like this merging of these worlds, and they hop. I don't even think it's seamless, but I mean that in a good way. It's like in a jarring way, they hop from something really extreme and dramatic to something really kooky and a bit off kilter and funny. And I loved that. That was so refreshing to read that, and felt like it kept me, and would hopefully keep an audience constantly guessing. I think particularly those first couple of episodes before the tone like settles in, you're just going, what is this? Like, what am I? There's so many odd things happening. It was exciting for me. It felt like nothing. I mean, really, truly, it's the sort of thing you say about scripts, like when you're doing press, it's like, oh, it's like nothing I've read before. But like The Tourist was really like nothing I've ever read, or since, it's definitely its own kind of mad, unique world.
You got to shoot this in the Australian Outback. What were the best and worst things about shooting out there?
I think it's good for your mind to have that much space around. These massive, big open skies, nothing going on, no like light pollution of any kind, no pollution basically of any kind. It's just like, like that's why people are drawn to those places often, drawn for a weekend or a week is one thing, being there all the time is another. I think I'd probably lose my mind. So that was the best thing. Sometimes those drives into work in the morning, sometimes we were on locations that were sort of 45 minutes, an hour in the car, just through the Australian Outback as the sun came up or before the sun came up, and just, it was crazy, good for your mind, I think. Yeah. But then the sort of yin to that yang is there's not a lot happening, So we're in these tiny little towns where there's like one pub and one place to eat, but very bonding as a result of that, But so the Outback was, I think overall we did more in studio in Adelaide, which is a pretty bustling, cool city, than we did in the actual Outback, which was 4 hours outside of Adelaide in the car. So I had my family with me, so they came to Outback a couple of times, but for the most part I was with them in Adelaide, so that was probably the best bit.
When I'm in those small towns though, I'm like, I'm gonna be a regular at this pub and they're gonna love me by the end of this.
We didn't have a choice. I mean, we were definitely regulars in that pub.
So if you met someone who had amnesia, what's an obscure YouTube video that you would show them?
Do you ever see the Grape Lady?
No.
It's really bad because it's just like essentially someone having a bad fall and like finding it funny. But there's a woman crushing grapes with her feet, in a wine making process. And then she gets all excited and does this little shuffle on grapes, and then she has this really kind of awful fall. It's like,
oh, is it like a newscast thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But if someone had amnesia and didn't even know what the process of like what is happening, you know what I mean? Like why are these women trampling around in a big thing of grapes? Like even the idea that, wine is made with grapes. I think if you didn't know what was going on, that would be kind of an interesting world to put yourself into.
I would show them Edgar's Prayer with no context.
Oh God, wow. Well, yeah, that's if that was your first context of like the world, you would have a pretty skewed idea of how people behave.
Well, thank you so much. I got to wrap. It's such a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks, Ash. Thank you.
Bye.